How many of you actually knew what this workshop was about when you signed up for it? Oh, you're brave. Everyone else was like, woo, women's workshop, we're going to that. So you all are in for a surprise here, huh? Today we're actually going to talk about lust, and I know that's like, oh! And all of the men that I have told are like, that's a men's workshop topic. Thank you, I know. But about 6 years ago, almost to the date, I was in Bible college, and I was in a meeting like this, but the room was a lot bigger. There's a lot more room, and there were more of us. There was about 300 of us, and the Dean of Women got up to the front, and she started talking about this thing called strongholds, and we find that in 2 Corinthians 10, and it says that that our warfare is spiritual, not physical, and that our weapons are spiritual, and that they are mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. And so it got into this topic of what is a stronghold, because obviously it's a bad thing. And a stronghold is, a good definition would be, it is a place the enemy takes behind your own front lines. And so a stronghold isn't so much something that we're presently dealing with, it's something that we thought we were over, that we're not actively struggling with, that's messing with our lives. So we were having that kind of experience, and she was wanting us to really break through and like really find our walk with God. And she says, some of you have this stronghold. You struggle with pornography and masturbation. And like the whole room went dead. The whole room went completely silent. There were 300 young women in that room, Christian young women. And she's standing up there saying that there are women, plural, in this room who struggle with these things. You never hear that. And in that moment, I felt like I was the only person that they were talking to. My name is Jessica Harris, and I used to be a porn addict. Now, how do you start that conversation in the church? That I didn't really understand how I had gotten to this point that I had to even have that conversation. Like, we could blame it on my dad. He left my family when I was 7, and I was a daddy's girl. It broke my heart, because it was like he took my heart with him, but never brought it back. Or we could blame it on the little boy when I was 9. We were riding home on the bus together. And he looks over and he says, take your clothes off. But I wanted affection so much, and he was my only friend. So I did. And it began to develop this thought process in me that this is what's expected of us in order to be accepted. That this is a sacrifice we have to make in order to be loved. But I will never forget the day that I was exposed to pornography. And the choices that I made. We're talking about all these people we can blame for what happened to me and why I did what I did. But the choices I made from that day on were no one else's but mine. I had gotten myself to the place that I had to stand up and be like, yeah, I'm one of those women that struggle with this. But it led me into sex chatting, which probably isn't as popular today. Sexting is probably the new sex chatting, but it led me into that, and I felt so good. It made me feel accepted, and it made me feel loved and cherished. But then it started to develop into an addiction, and it got to the point, within 3 years of my first exposure, it got to the point where I understood that I was addicted to this. And I could not go a day without participating in some way in lust. I could not go a day without looking at pornography. I could not go a day without fantasizing. Could not go a day without one of them. And every single day, it became like the air I breathed. And if I didn't do it, my day was not complete. Like, nothing else mattered. It started becoming something I hated, because I was supposed to be in control of my life, and I was no longer in control of my life. It was screwing up my life. When I was 17, I came to know Christ. And I would love to be able to say, the end. It didn't get any easier. Like, it actually got harder. And for the first time, I understood that this wasn't a physical battle. It wasn't me versus my body and me versus my desires. Like, this was like me withstanding hell. Now what? So you get online. You're like, okay, there's got to be something. Google, women struggling with pornography. Nothing. Okay? Christians struggling with pornography. And everything that popped up was for men. Everything. Men's resources don't work for women because we struggle with lust differently than men do. I began to feel really messed up. I began to really struggle. I began to kind of pray, God, help me get caught. And I got caught. I did. That being said, we know this wasn't you. Oh, really? Pretty funny, because I'm pretty sure it was me. But she's like, women just don't struggle with this. Like, women don't have this problem. And if, like, whoever has this problem needs major help. So you need to stop giving your password out to your brothers in Christ. You need to protect them. It's wrong of you to do this. Change your password, sign the paper. If it happens again, you're going home. And so I walked back to my dorm room, and I felt so screwed up. And I seriously said to God, you saved the wrong girl. I wanted to love God, and I wanted to be loved by God. I began to give up. And I thought, you know what? What's the point? What's the point of living a life where I'm covering my tracks, where I'm putting on face of, yes, I'm the good Christian college student. Oh, I'm going to be a doctor someday when I grow up. Oh, I'm the good, I'm saving myself for marriage. What's the point of playing all of these cards when none of it's real? And I didn't want to give up, but I didn't know what else to do. I began to connect my real life to the fake one I had been living. I got up, locked my dorm room door, prayed to heaven on high my roommate would not walk back in, and gave him his pictures. And for the first time, I completely just was like, this is who I am. And like, I don't have a choice. And I was 17 at that point. So I'm 17 and becoming someone else's pornography, and then thinking about going into the industry. And I'm a Christian. Like, how does that work? I love God, and I wanted to be close to Him, and I wanted Him to love me, and I wanted that. But it was like I was stuck. I couldn't break free from this. And so I began to really want to long after God and want to follow Him, and kind of was trying to ignore the fact that I was struggling with pornography and like work around it. And I had wanted so much to be that joyful, vibrant Christian, but I was so angry. I'm leaning for it because she's talking about me, like she's telling me what I'm going through. And then she drops this bomb that some of you are struggling with pornography and masturbation. Now, you're going to write down your stronghold. And I was like, oh no, I'm not. And I got so angry with God, but it was like He was standing right there saying, please, I don't make mistakes. You've got to trust me. And I felt, as I was walking back to my dorm, I felt so defeated. So I'm going back to my dorm room, and it seriously felt like I was dragging this with me. And like Satan was right behind me saying, oh, you've done it now, girl. You are going home, and this is it. Like, you're not making it out of here. Like, you're going home, you screwed up, you're mine, you belong to me, remember, God doesn't love you. I got back to my room, and I was alone, and I was just in tears, and I said, God, this has to work. If they lied to me, if they didn't tell me the truth, if this is wrong, I'm scared. Because I don't know what's going to happen next. I almost fell into the adult industry when I got caught. If I've confessed and am ignored, what's going to happen to me? What am I supposed to do? And she looks at me and she says, Jessica, what you did was brave, and we're going to help you. And in that moment, the devil was a liar. And all of those lies he had fed me all of those years, this is all you're worth, this is all the better you are, this is all you're ever going to be, this is where you're stuck, you are mine, every single lie was gone. It freed me from my sin, but then the cool thing was, it went all the way back and it like washed over my past. And like healed my father leaving my family, healed the pain caused by the boy on the bus, like healed all of that. Realize that grace promises us, when it works in our heart and it frees us from sin, it frees us and helps us to forgive others, that after that it promises that we're free and that we have life. I can go through life because grace promises that to me. It promises me freedom. We're not effective if all we're ever doing is thinking about not sinning. Like, I shall not sin, I shall not sin, I shall not sin, I shall not sin, I shall not fall to pornography, I shall not fall to pornography. You're giving it more room in your life than it deserves. It's a reality that we know as Christians, that the cross covers all, and that it defeated sin, it conquered sin. But freedom is different from victory. Victory is something that you achieve, like you fight for and da-da-da-da, you're victorious, and the next match you might lose. But freedom is different. Freedom is the denial of sin. It's what we do. Okay? It's found through walking in the Spirit. And freedom is a choice. It's you choosing to live in the victory provided by Calvary. That's what it is.